led by Commander of Troops, Colonel James C. Markert. The United States Army Band, Pershing's Own, was founded in 1922 by Army Chief of Staff General John J. Pershing. Since the inauguration of Calvin Coolidge in 1925, Pershing's Own has led each inaugural parade as part of the official escort to the President. Known as the Old Guard and charged with providing security for the nation's capital is the 3rd United States Infantry, the oldest infantry unit in the active Army. The ribbons at the top of the Army flag are battle streamers that mark major campaigns that the Army has participated in. Representing the United States Marine Corps are the Marines of Company A from Marine Barracks, Washington, D.C. These Marines are known for their ceremonial drill and marching excellence. They perform before thousands of spectators annually at ceremonies throughout the nation. Representing the Joint Service is the Presidential Color Guard, comprised of representatives from each of the 5 military services. These young men represent the joint services and their respective branches in hundreds of ceremonies throughout the year. Based in Washington, D.C., and representing the United States Navy is the Ceremonial Guard, established in 1931. Strict discipline, teamwork, and meticulous attention to detail allows this elite unit to fulfill its primary mission of showcasing America's long-standing tradition of exemplary naval service. Representing the Air Force is the United States Air Force Honor Guard. The all-volunteer unit has represented the Air Force at official ceremonies around the nation since 1948. The Air Force Honor Guard was the first military ceremonial unit to include women as members. Representing the United States Coast Guard is the Department of Homeland Security and the 72-member Coast Guard Ceremonial Honor Guard, which was established in 1962 and has participated in every presidential inauguration since President Johnson's in 1965. Representing the United States Army is the 3rd United States Infantry Old Guard Pipe and Drum Corps. The Pipe and Drum Corps is patterned after the military's positions of General George Washington's Continental Army. Also representing the United States Army is the
Leading the United States Army units in today's parade is the Army Staff. The Army Staff is comprised of officers from the active and reserve components, the National Guard, and the United States Military Academy at West Point. From our nation's capital, it's the United States Army Field Band, known as the musical ambassadors of the Army. The band was founded in 1926 with a mission to take the story of the Army and its soldiers to the grassroots of America. Each year, these musicians travel 40,000 miles around our nation. For more than 500 concerts for more than 1 million people, they are the military's most traveled band. These young men and women represent 4,400 cadets of the United States Military Academy at West Point. Upon graduation, they will serve as second lieutenants of the United States Army. West Point graduates are leading American soldiers worldwide engaged in contingency operations.
Now approaching is the 1st Battalion, 319th Airborne Field Artillery Regiment. Part of the 3rd Brigade Combat Team, 82nd Airborne Division, the All-American Division. Leading the formation is the Battalion Commander, Lieutenant Colonel Shane Morgan from Elliott, Maine. Behind him are the battalion staff and paratroopers from America's Guard of Honor. Flag. The color guard carries the flag of the United States Army. Established in 1802, the District of Columbia National Guard has served the citizens of Washington, D.C. for over 200 years. Next group of fine young men and women of the United States Army Reserve.
Black traditional Latin shirt, beige pants, black belt, and black shoes.
The United States Marine Corps was created by a declaration of the Second Continental Congress on November 10th, 1775. Established in 1801, the Marine Barracks at 8th and I Street Southeast in Washington, D.C. is the oldest post of the Marine Corps. Representing the Marine Corps is the President's own United States Marine Band in its 53rd consecutive inaugural appearance. Established in 1798, the Marine Band made its inaugural debut in 1801 for President Thomas Jefferson, an avid music lover who fondly dubbed them the President's own. The Marine Band mission is to provide music for the President of the United States and Commandant of the Marine Corps. Perform at the White House and more than 300 times each year, and more than 500 annual public and official appearances. The active duty company of the United States Marines are the Marines for Marine Barracks, Washington, D.C. They are comprised of active duty officers and enlisted Marines from the oldest post in the Corps who represent the finest in ceremonial excellence. Leading the active duty company of the Marines is Company Commander Captain Nicholas Stroback of Marine Barracks, Washington, D.C. The United States Marine Corps Color Guard is a 4-man team, also from Marine Barracks, Washington, D.C., flanked by 2 Marine Navy is the Navy staff, which consists of 3 naval officers and a Naval Academy midshipman. The staff customarily precedes the United States Navy marching units in all formal parades. The mission of the Navy is to maintain, train, and equip combat-ready naval forces capable of winning wars, deterring aggression, and maintaining freedom of the seas. Representing the Navy is its 22nd presidential inauguration is the United States Navy Band. Known as the world's finest, the band is based at Historic Navy Yard in Washington, D.C., and performs at more than 1,300 official military ceremonies and special events annually, including memorial services in Arlington National Cemetery and honors visiting dignitaries at the White House and the Pentagon. Representing the United States Naval Academy are 90 talented young men and women from each company within the Brigade of Midshipmen. Since 1845, the United States Naval Academy has served as the undergraduate college of the Navy and Marine Corps and prepares midshipmen morally, mentally, and physically to be combat leaders in the Navy and Marine Corps. After graduating with a Bachelor of Science degree, midshipmen are commissioned as ensigns in the Navy or second lieutenants in the Marine Corps and begin careers of service to the nation. The active duty company consists of 90 personnel and is led by Commander Nathaniel Strandquist, Commanding Officer of the Naval Ceremonial Guard from Eureka Springs, Arkansas, and Senior Chief Petty Officer James Weaverly from Huntington, Pennsylvania. The United States Navy Color Guard is composed of sailors from the Navy Ceremonial Guard Color Guard Platoon. America's Navy Reserve is an essential element of the total force that is America's Navy. Wherever the important work is, the Navy is being conducted in the world today.
The 185 members of the Georgia State University.
As the Air Force's premier musical organization, the United States Air Force Band honors those who have served, inspires American citizens to heighten patriotism and service, and positively impacts the global community on behalf of the U.S. Air Force and the United States of America. These professionals are proud to represent all airmen whose selfless service and sacrifices ensure the freedoms we enjoy as American citizens. Cadets are representing the United States Air Force Academy and are marching beneath the colors of the Outstanding Cadet Squadron for 2012, known as Cadet Squadron 22. The Raptors, these young men and women represent more than 41,400 members of the United States Air Force Cadet Wing. All are future leaders in the United States Air Force. The Air Force Academy is the youngest of the service academies. Representing the active duty Air Force is the United States Air Force Honor Guard. The all-volunteer unit has represented the Air Force at official ceremonies around the nation since 1948. Today, 90 members are participating in the parade. The Air Force active duty flight is led by Major Ryan Van Villen from Flint, Michigan, and Technical Sergeant Joseph Matulowicz from Guilderland, New York. Proudly carrying the colors of the nation and the United States Air Force are members of the Air Force Honor Guard. Established in 1948, the Honor Guard performs in a variety of ceremonies, including promotions, retirements, military funerals, and state funerals, including President Reagan's and many presidential functions. Marching on behalf of the United States Air National Guard are members of the District of Columbia's Air National Guard, the D.C. Capitol Guardians have marched in presidential inaugurations since the 1890s. Representing the United States Air Force Reserve are volunteers from the 4500 Recruit Week. Oldest continuous seagoing service, the Coast Guard has been standing the watch since 1790 to protect and defend America's maritime interest at home and abroad. Underway every day, at all hours and in all conditions, the Coast Guard is one of 5 branches of the United States Armed Forces and has served in every war in our nation's history. Representing the United States Coast Guard and the Department of Homeland Security is the Coast Guard Band, which was established in 1925 and has played in every presidential inauguration since President Hoover's in 1929. The Coast Guard's band's duties include playing for presidential and cabinet level functions. Representing the United States Coast Guard Academy are the future officers of our nation's oldest continuous seagoing service. There are more than 900 cadets enrolled in the Coast Guard Corps of Cadets, which is also home to the Coast Guard Officer Candidate School. The U.S. Coast Guard active duty component represents the 42,000 Coast Guard active duty members. Leading the United States Coast Guard active duty component is the Commander Michael Ruschel of Lancaster, Pennsylvania. He is leading a component composed of 45 recruits and 14 staff members from the Coast Guard's Recruit Training Center, Cape May, New Jersey, and representatives from some of the local Washington, D.C. area commands. Coming from Alexandria, Virginia, and carrying the national ensign and Coast Guard standards are the United States Coast Guard Ceremonial Honor Guard. The Coast Guard Reserve component is represented by members of Port Security Unit 305. Established May 1999 as a Coast Guard Reserve Unit, PSU 305 provides security and protects personnel and facilities from terrorism, sabotage, espionage, subversion, and attack. U.S. Merchant Marine Academy, one of the 5 Federal Service Academies. The marching staff is represented by the Regimental Commander, Midshipman Daniel Kalagateas, commanding the regiment of midshipmen. Representing the only Federal Service Academy band made up entirely of midshipmen is the United States Merchant Marine Academy Regimental Band. The band participates in numerous academy and outside activities year-round, including the Armed Forces Day Parade, the Columbus Day Parade, Macy's Thanksgiving Day, the maiden voyage of Queen Mary II, and with the Canadian and Netherlands Royal Marine Bands, as well as a host of other parades and concerts. The U.S. Merchant Marine Academy is privileged among the nation's 5 federal academies to be the only institution authorized to carry a battle standard as part U.S. Merchant Marine Academy educates and graduates licensed merchant marine officers of exemplary character whose service to America's marine transportation and defense needs in peace and war.